How's it going, ScrubGamers? Welcome back to another video here at ScrubGames, and this time going over the third deck I took to Fight Night, being, as you can see, Hatchhyack. Now, this is a deck that I didn't really want to take to Fight Night, but I put up a trade post and everything to try and get hold of stuff the week before, but unfortunately I was not successful in trying to get other pieces to play other decks, so I had to take one of the other two decks I had all the pieces for the lists I liked from, and Hatchhyack was the better choice. Well, more interesting choice and more fun choice for me. So yeah, I'm just gonna go through the list I took to Fight Night, and if you do want to watch the games just like the other ones, the VOD will be down. The link to the VOD will be down in the description below. And once they put up the videos on YouTube of the games like separately, I'll put a link to that for this as well in the description box as well. But without further ado, let's get into the list. So if you haven't been playing for as long as most people and didn't play during set 8, this is a set 8 leader. And basically it's like a floodgate deck. So it's permanent on both sides, is you can only play black battle cards, and on this side it can attack, on the other side it can. And it also has the same auto on both sides as well, which is when a battle card attacks, the player who attacked can't attack with tokens or battle cards with energy cost of 7 or less other than the card they attack with for duration of turn. Which means if you attack with a battle card that's like a 4 cost, you then can't attack for the rest of the turn with battle cards or tokens unless they're 8 cost or higher. So that's why I mean it's a floodgate deck. It basically puts a condition where it limits the amount of attacks. Back when it first came out, is a really solid one, but now with the release of Unisons, there's more attacks that can get through and get around it. And then on the front side, it's got an activate main. Once per turn, you place the top card of your deck under discard and place it. You place the top card of your deck under discard, place the top card of your deck in your drop area, then draw 1. So essentially, you filter for 3 cards from your deck by using that effect. So 1 under, 1 in drop, and draw 1. And its awaken is quite unique as well, with if you only have black cards in your energy, you choose 3 cards under this card and place them in the drop area, then you may draw 1 card and flip this card over. So it means that you're not awakening until turn 3, so you've got to get to turn 3, but luckily with the skills, with his auto, that should be more possible. And then on the other side, it's Hatchhyack, Malice Assimilated. Once again, it's permanent, you can only play battle cards, and when it says play, it means actually casting them, not comboing them. So I know there was things about can you play Champa and stuff, like people having Champa, can you play Champa? Yes, you can use Champa as long as you're only going to be using it to combo, which is fine. You're not going to actually be physically playing the card. And then the same auto as the front side, but now it's got another auto where when this card attacks, it gains 5k power for the turn and draws 1 card, so 20k swing the draw 1 is quite good. But that's it for the leader. So that's the leader, and now we get into the deck. So first off, starting off with the Unison, we are playing 4 SS Bardock Spirit Resonance, because in this day and age now, Unisons are a key thing for most decks. Like, you get big benefits for playing them, and most of them have very strong effects. And for this one, it's I think it was the first specified 2 cost, and it serves similar to how Piccolo Jr. serves in the Red Beerus deck, where we're not going to go over the auto because you're never going to use that skill in this, so that's a bit pointless. But with the activate main, it's got a +1 skill and a -2 skill. The +1 skill is activate main, draw 1 card, so as I said, similar to Piccolo. And then you've got the -2, which is activate main until the end of your opponent's next turn. They can't attack with battle cards unless they choose 1 card in the hand and send it to the warp each time. So that can come in handy. Normally you're always going to be using the +1, but sometimes your opponent's got a lot of battle cards that are quite high costing to get around the auto. You can tax the hand if it's quite low as well. And this deck kind of serves as quite a controlling deck, and also you can do a bit of hand control here. And it's more difficult to counter the hand control in this, because the hand control in this deck is warping cards, not discarding them. So things like the Bora wouldn't work against this, because it gets warped. Play 4 of these because you want to see it normally for your turn to play the setup, the extra draws. And to go with that, we also have another package where Most people run in the deck that I've seen the Kid Goku package, which is the 1-drop Goku and the 4-star ball to keep getting advantage by having the Goku down, keep getting the 4-star ball so you can combo it, grab back, and just keeping that extra power. Instead, what I have for this is the Toki Toki package, where we have 1 Toki Toki, 2 Toki Toki, 3 Supreme Kai of Time, and 1 Shin Noble Supremacy. So what Toki Toki does, if you haven't, once again, if you're new and haven't been playing as long, it's got Deflect, meaning you can't be stopped from coming down. And its also is when you play this card, you may place it on top of your deck, and if you do, you choose up to 1 black battle card with 3000 power from your deck and play it, then shuffle your deck. So essentially you play it, put on top of your deck, look through and play one of these two, and then shuffle your deck. So this means it's never stuck on top of your deck, it's shuffled back in as well, and it's a nice way to shuffle your deck if you have to put things back, as we'll see with some of the other cards. And as you can see, the targets for it are the Supreme Kai and Shin. Now we're playing a 3-1 split because Kai only has no combo power, so in your hand it's dead unless you're playing it. But when you play it, it is a blocker and a cantrip, so also when it's played you draw 1 card. And because of this, we're only playing 3 because we want to have it for a blocker to help defend ourselves, have targets for this as well, and just to get that draw as well. And then the reason we're playing Shin Noble Supremacy over Never Copy This or Kami or Dende is because of how the format is at the moment, where people are playing bigger cards earlier. And back when I originally built this deck back up during the Unison Warrior series formats, there was Aggro Sin, and also you'll see the SS4 of Gogeta are available. And this is a nice way to deal with those before you drop yours. So it's also a cantrip where when you play this card draw 1, it's got Never Auto where if you have 3 or less energy, when you play this card, activate this skill, your opponent can attack with battle cards with energy cost of 7 or more until the start of your next main phase. So it means against Aggro Sin or just Sin in general, if they want to try and swing the 8 drops, if you drop this, they can't swing with them, which is good. And if you go against a mirror or another deck that's running SS4 Gogeta 14 the Dark Empire, if you're going second, they're going to get a turn 4 before you to drop theirs and attack you with it. But if you play this on your turn 3, they can drop it on their next turn, turn 4 when they're able to play it, because the energy cost for that card is 4 energy to apply its effect. They can drop it, but they can't attack with it because this restricts them, because you're all beyond 3 energy. And then when you get to, if they do drop theirs, they won't be able to attack with it, you get effect, but then on your next turn, you'll be able to play yours and swing with yours. So that's the reason for that in a way. I would side in a best of 3. I would side 1 Dende and 1 Kami, just so I can switch through this, depending on so you can recycle, switch out in games 2 and 3 for whichever one you need. But I prefer this main deck because it helps a lot easier with the current format, in my opinion. But that's the 1 cost package that I use instead of the Kiku one. And then, as I mentioned, we have the 4 in the Dark Empire. So we're playing 3 of the Gogeta, and to go with these, the Goku and Vegeta, we're doing the 2 of the 1-drop Goku making an entrance, which we use which is our nice negate. 2 of the ISR Goku Saiyan Transcendence that can go on top of it to help us recycle our drop. 4 of the Vegeta Super combos, because it's one of the line of best super combos for each color in the game at the moment, and also an overall Vegeta and Support Evolution. So the reason for these is I wanted to go at least a 4-4 split for the materials for Gogeta. So that way, because we're going to be running 4 super combos anyway, and it made this is the best choice. Because even if you don't get, you're not going to go down to 4 that often in Hatch. If you do, this is the best super combo. How to put certain cards back in your deck and draw 2, so you can see more things you want, like put back deck cards that aren't live at the time back in your deck. And as you see with Toki, you can always shuffle your decks, so it's not ever lost. And this deck has a really hard time of being decked out, which is good. And also go for the same amount of Vegetas, but I put in the extra Vegeta because every deck really needs barrier removal. If you don't have barrier removal, you're going to struggle against certain decks. And this is a really good one in the fact that is an overwhelm 6 for 2 black energy, and it's also is when this card is played using overwhelm, you draw a card, then choose it to one of your opponent's battle cards, ignore embarrassing as warp. So it's nice barrier, as I said, nice barrier removal, and you're able to recycle like almost anything in this deck, which is great. And to go with that, I went with 2 Son Goku making entrance. This is our one of our negates. So there's quite a few negates in there, like to help defend, because you want to defend to get higher turns, drop your big threats. And yeah, he's just a negate attack to play this card, and we only run 2 because of the fact he's got 0 combo power. So if we have too many of them, we're gonna be if we run out of energy to be able to use negates and stuff, then this is not going to be helpful to be able to out combo. And then we have 2 Goku Saiyan Transcendence, because this is a really handy one because it can evolve. It is double 25k double strike with a Zeno evolve for 1 Son Goku with energy cost of 3 or less, which there's our target there. And it has a permanent, if you like, you need all black cards everywhere, which you have in this deck to be able to play it. And its permanent is it can, if you have 3 or less energy, you can't play this card for any energy. So turn 4 is when you can play this. And so the good thing about this is when you get to turn 4 and you negate it with Goku that's on the board, because most people won't care to get rid of it because it's only a 0 cost. It's got no combo power, so you can't combo off. And if you warp it, you can get battle power burst and things like that. So if it does survive and you go to turn 4 with just 4 energy, you can evolve this on top of it. And it's got an activate main with once per turn you can choose up to 4 black battle cards in your warp and place them in your drop area, which is nice to recycle some cards that we're going to see, and also mean that if you overwhelm, you're not losing all those cards forever. So nothing's really lost in this deck, which is great. And then we go on to the Gogeta. So this is such a strong finisher that came out. It's a 8 cost 35k, so it gets around your Hatchhyack as well, where you can swing with something else like this Goku, and then you can swing with this still because it's over the requirement of being 8 or more. It's got triple attack as well, so you get quite a few attacks using it, and a blocker as well. It's got a permanent where if this card is in rest mode, it can't be KO'd by your opponent's skill during both your and your opponent's turn. So if you block an attack, it can't be KO'd by skills, and that's both turns as well, which is really good. So when you're attacking, they're going to have a hard time getting rid of it. And the best thing about it is its auto, where once per turn, when this card attacks, your opponent chooses 2 cards in their hand and 2 of the battle cards, ignoring barrier and sends it to her as warp. At the end of the turn, you switch this card to rest mode, which means on the first attack, you warp 2 from the hand and 2 from the board, which is fantastic. Well, up to well, if they have less than 2, then they warp as many as they can, and then you get 2 more attacks after that, and then in turn you restand it so you can block with it. And you're not going to be spending 8 energy on it, that's too much. You're going to be using this activate main where for 4 energy, you choose 1 Goku, Zeno Goku, and 1 Zeno Vegeta in your battle area and or drop area. So if this is on the board, it's in the drop, that's fine. If they're both in the drop, it's fine. If they're from board, that's fine as well. And you play this card from your hand. So that's why I said you can play it on turn 4 for your effect. And this is very strong. Like if you get multiple down, then you could be doing a lot of attacks and getting more to the auto, because the auto isn't once per turn across all cards. It's once per turn for that card. So if you drop 2, if you drop 1, use it, and the next turn you drop another one, you're going to be getting a lot of value out of that. And this is probably the main reason why I played the deck, because of this, how easy it is to use this. And then next we have to make sure we don't deck out and to keep the recyclability, we have 3 Lord Slug Ghost Warrior. Now there are other Ghost Warriors that do the same thing, but their other effects aren't as useful. Like I think, personally, I would side the Turtles Ghost Warrior because it has some nice drop area control where you can send it off towards something your opponent's drop. That could be handy against certain decks, but this is more this is kind of that's handy in more situations than the Turtles. So this, if you don't know, it's got 2 activate mains. The first one is if your leader card is a Black Machine Mutant card, and you choose 3 black battle cards with energy cost between 3 and 7 in your drop area, and place them at the bottom of your deck. So it means once you use over things like you got the Vegeta we just saw, the Goku, and another card in the drop that's between 4 and 6. So between 7 and 3. Then you get to put them to the bottom of the deck, and play this out from your hand. So it means if you've got, you can, and because these are 4 cost, you can, if you've got these in the drop, you can put them back, so you keep having a copy of Lost Slug. You want to make sure you don't lose all your copies of Slug, otherwise you can, then you don't have that survivability with not decking out. And then its activate main, which is why we use it over the Everghost Warriors, is you place this card in its owner's drop area. Then you choose one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost greater than or equal to your opponent's energy and send it to this warp. And with the current format where people are playing more things higher costing than their energy, this is a very good way to get rid of it. The only thing it doesn't get through is barrier, unfortunately. And then next we have some utility, like our utility defense being 3 SS3 tag teams on Gohan, 2 of the Supreme cards high time Labyrinth Unleash, and then we have 2 Oceanus, Shenron, NG, negative energy explosion. So this is our like big wolf defense. So Gohan's really good in the fact that if anything is removed from your battle area by a skill, if you don't have one of these on your board, you can play it for free from your hand, because it's and it's a 15k blocker as well. And also you notice that you've got 3 cost, 4 cost, 5 cost, which means these are all able to be put back by Lord Slug to the bottom of your deck if they're in your drop. So it means you can recycle it and draw for you at some point when you get later in the game. You can basically just keep recycling this and surviving, stopping all their attacks and putting pressure on yourself. So it's a blocker, as a permanent, which is basically unique before unique became a thing. And as I said, he also is when a black battle card is removed from your battle area by a skill, either your skills or your opponent's skills. So Overrun would trigger this, things like that. You may play this card from your hand. So it's nice that if you, like, normally what you would do is you turn 1 play the Kai blocker, or Toku you get Kai blocker, draw a card, turn 2 play the Unison, and now you have that blocker there to defend the Unison, or your leader, depending on what you want to do. And if at any point your opponent tries to remove the blocker by a skill so you can get an attack through, you can then free play this from your hand if you want to. And then we have 2 Supreme Kai. The Supreme Kai is a counter attack when you get your attack player's card, but it's also got other skills as well. And you're not going to be paying free for it because it's permanent. Like both of these have a permanent reduces cost, where the Kai's one is if you or your opponent have 3 or more cards in their warp, you reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 2. So that's easy enough because you have Overwhelm and stuff. You can easily put stuff in the warp for yourself, and also you're going to be warping cards from your opponent. So and if they warp things themselves, they're going to fulfill that for you. And it's got an auto, which helps stop potentially 2 attacks as well. Because if your leader is black, when this card is played using its counter attack skill, you choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, sends to his warp. So you can negate one thing. So like you can negate 1 attack and prevent another attack by warping something. But then at the end of the turn, you play the card sent to the warp to its owner's battle area with its skills negate for the turn, meaning that the reason for that is to stop any effects like on interplay effects, because you're replaying the card. So it just means that interplay effects from that card coming back in won't trigger again. And then we have Oceanus Negate. So this is once the same thing in Negate, but it's also a blocker. They cost a little bit more, so it's a 5 cost, but it's permanent. Basically says during your opponent's turn, reduce the energy cost in your hand by 3. So use a 2 cost Negate, but just like Kai, you can stop 2 attacks because and a negate and a blocker as well. So you can negate 1 attack, block another. But is a really good negate in the fact that its counter attack is choose 1 card from your hand and discard it. That's the cost. You can negate the attack and play this card. Then if you played this card, your opponent can't attack for the rest of the turn unless they place the top 4 cards off the deck in the drop area each time they attack. So given the fact that you start maybe with a 50 card deck most of the time, you're going to be having 6 in your hand from your opening hand, and then you're going to have 8 in life. So that is 14 cards you're not having in your deck, which means you're only running technically 36 cards in your deck, and 4 cards each time is really going to pile up, especially when you including the fact that mostly there's draw, ever effects draw. You're going to be, the later the game goes on, the more impactful it's going to be. Just like essentially, like Topper used to do, just stop your opponent from attacking for the turn, end games from just this negate. And we're not going to go over the auto because it can't be fulfilled in this deck. It's just more the counter attack skill. But that is the defensive cards we've got, like the negates and stuff, to help survive the turns. Then we got the overwhelm cards. So first of all, we're going with 3 Demigra, Demon God Demigra True Power Unleashed, probably one of the best overwhelms in the game. For black at least. Then we've got Massane, or 2 copies of Massane Brainwash No More, and also a Trunks of Power over the time. You also have the Vegeta, which we've already gone through as well. But basically, this is your normal turn 3 play. So normal turn 1 is like Toki you're playing into a blocker, the cantrip blocker, the draw 1. Then turn 2 is to play the Unison, the draw 1, and then try and protect it. And then turn 3, if you want to try and drop this, you can get rid of something and start applying that hand control. Because it's a 5+ 30k, it's either got Overwhelm 5/2, so Overwhelm requiring 5 and drop and paying 2 energy, or Dark Overwhelm with the same thing, but you require all black cards and drops. So mainly for this deck, you're going to be always going for Dark Overwhelm. And it's got 2 autos. First one is when this card is played, using Overwhelm or Dark Overwhelm, you draw a card and choose 20 opponent's battle cards and send it to as a warp. So that is removal plus replacing itself, which is fantastic. And then you have the auto where when it attacks, your opponent chooses 1 card in the hand and sends it to her as warp. So this is what you're normally going to be attacking with first out of battle cards before attacking with the other things that cost more, like the Gogeta, because it allows you to get a 30k swinging, maybe then negate it and stuff, but then they're losing a card from hand when it swings as well. And then we have Master and Brainwash No More. This is we didn't really overwhelm this much. It's mainly for his Activate Battle, but his overwhelm is for 6, and its auto is when this card is played using overwhelm, you place the 3 black battle cards from your warp and your drop area. So you can use this if you've got no other option or want to overwhelm something in, or maybe if you've got something in your warp that is we're going to see some cards that you want in your drop to trigger their effects. You can overwhelm this to put certain cards from your warp to your drop. But as I said, the main thing I use it is for the Activate Battle, which for 1 black energy, if your leader card is black and you discard this card from your hand as the cost, you place 1 card from your life in your drop area, and your leader card doesn't take damage for the battle. And this is really handy for when your opponent's going in with the strike skill. So if they're going in with like a really big double strike, really big triple strike, quad strike, you can use this to avoid taking all the hits and just take 1 damage instead. So if your opponent's going all in with a double striker, this makes it so you only lose 1 card because you've got place a card from your life and you drop. And against triple strike, you can basically any time when they're doing more than 1 damage in 1 hit, you can make it so it's only 1 damage you're going to take. And then the second choice is 1 Trunks Overseeing Time. So this is our utility in our way to make sure that nothing's ever gone, because it's a really old one back from set 3. So I'll just go over the effects just in case you haven't didn't play during that time. Overwhelm 4 for 2 energy. So once again 4 cards and drop, but 2 energy cost. It's double strike, and it's also is when you play this card using Overwhelm, you choose up to 1 battle card from your warp and add to your hand. And this is really good because the Goku can put cards from drop area to warp to drop area, so they can put black battle cards from drop area to warp to have them in your drop again to maybe put back with slug or things like that. But this allows you to grab any battle card from your warp. So if you say lose your secret rare, or any card that is not able to be put back in to your drop and then put back into deck with slug, this can grab it. So it's mainly your 8 costs or higher cards that you want to grab with this. And like as you can see, it's all these can be put back with slug as well, because they're 5, 6, and 4 drop. And then on to the last, some of the last few cards. We have the utility for the deck. So we have Majin Buu, Wickedness Incarnate, 1 Fu Mission Accomplished, 1 Jiren Survival of the Fittest, and then 2 Dark Mask King Devilish Dominator. So with the Buu, this is our draw power. because so with its activate main, it's an activate main where for 1 energy, if your leader card is black, or if your energy is black, and you send this card from your drop area to a warp, you can activate the activate main skill and copies of this card for the rest of the turn. And at the end of the turn, you can choose 1 card in your hand, discard it, and if you do, you draw 2 cards. So this is a nice way to be able to get the stuff you want for Gogeta in your drop, because if you don't mill it, like as you see, like only one of the Gokus has combo power, and the Vegetas with some of the super combos, you don't really want to combo them if they're not useful, but you might be able to discard one off this if you really need it for the Gogeta, and just ditching something that you don't want in your hand or is dead in your hand, or what you want in your drop, to draw 2 is pretty handy. And with this with the same Transcendence Goku ISR, you can keep putting it back if you've got it on board. You can use this effect, then put it back to use it again the next turn. Then we got full mission accomplished. Its effect is an activate main for 2 energy. You move this card from your drop area from the game. You choose it to 1 black battle card in your drop area or a warp with energy cost 7 or less, and add to your hand. So it's a nice way to get anything 7. This is a nice way to get anything 7 or less back from your warp, whereas the Trunks overall gets anything 8 cost or higher battle card from your warp to your hand. Then we've got 1 copy of Jiren Survival Fit. So one of the worst matchups for this deck is blue because of the Android 17 turning the tide. So I would main one of this like I am now, and side another copy or 2 to help against blue for if it goes, because just like blue, we're going to go for that long game, and against blue they're going to have a stronger, if they can get to it first, they're going to be able to drop that Android 17 and just ruin our time. So to counter that and have something main deck just in case, we have Jiren, which is the counter play this card, draw 1 card, and then cards in your hand can't be returned to your deck by your opponent's skills for the turn, which is how we go against turning the tide. And then another one of our finishers that we are like big finishers is Dark Mask King Devilish Dominator. So this is a 6 cost, but you're not going to be paying for 6 for it like most things in here. It's got deflect and triple strike, so it's not being stopped from coming out, and it's got triple strike, so you can put your opponent from 3 to 0 with this. It's got a plethora of skills, but the way you're getting out cheaper is activate main, which is 4 energy. If your leader card is black and your opponent has 3 or more cards in their warp, which you can easily enough do in this deck, you play this card from your hand. Then his autos are, the first one is once per turn, when this card attacks, you send up to 2 battle cards from your opponent's drop area to their warp, and if your opponent has 10 or more cards in their warp, you switch this card to active mode. So it's nice. It's quite easily enough in this deck to get this to have 2 swings, and at 25k triple strike, your opponent's not going to be enjoying it. And the other auto it has on it is once per turn, if your opponent activates a counter skill during the battle with this card, you send 1 card in your opponent's life to their warp. So if your opponent's on 3 and you're attacking with this, and they go to negate the attacks, they don't want to take the triple damage, you're going to warp 1, they're going to be on 2 life then, meaning that if you don't attack with anything else that's got double strike, you can end them that way as well, or just make it even worse for them. So this is a nice way to help finish with the triple strike, because it's the only way we can, only ever thing in this deck we got to put them from more than 1 life to 0. And on to the secret rare choice and our pseudo secret rare. Once again, we have Scream Card Time and Fu. So Fu, like once again, being as I mentioned in the other video, being our pseudo secret rare because it's just so strong. It says Overrealm 10 for 6 energy, and also when you can play this card using Overrealm, your opponent can activate skills on the cards other than leader card until the beginning of your next turn. So it basically shuts down your opponent's deck outside leader for your turn and their turn when you try to kill them. And being double strike as well, 30k provides a lot of pressure. And the Scream Card Time, Space Time Rather, is the choice for this deck because of how strong it is. It has a opponent which most secret rares do, which is if it's removed from the battle area, it's removed from the game instead. And he's got 2 activate mains, so it's not coming out for energy. It's like, once again, like most cards in his deck. The activate main for 1 energy, you choose this card and all cards in your opponent's battle area and unison cards, and you send them through the owner's warp. So that's its effect. So it's just pay 1, and then remove this from the game and warp all your opponent's battle cards that don't have barrier and a unison, which is insane board wipe. And you're going to be bringing out for 1 because it's the other activate main, where For 1 energy, if you have 3 or more energy, you play this card from your hand, and if you do, your opponent can't attack with leader cards and or unison cards with turn. So it's a nice way for if your opponent is quite silly and doesn't attack with their leader or unison first, you can drop this against that attack as long as it's not against a unison, and then shut off their leader and unison card swings. I've seen people do it. I've done it before to someone as well during a tournament where they've swung with a battle card first. I've out comboed that attack and dropped this, and yeah, then it was just game over from there. And yeah, this is the reason why we run trunks, because if either these two are lost, we want to be grabbing them back. And then the last card in the deck is our extra card Power Burst. So there is a reason to run Petrification, but for this, since it was a Fight Night, is more casual than it was competitive, I didn't feel a need to run Petrification. But if I was going in a normal tournament, I would side Petrification for best of 3, but if it's best of 1, I would probably maybe take out 1 or 2 of these and put in 2 Petrification. But this card is a great negate in the fact that it's one of these sparking ones. Sparking, like it's what I mean sparking, I mean it's permanent sparking 5. So if you've got 5 cards in your drop area, you can activate this card's counter skill from your hand by adding a card to your life instead of paying its energy cost. So as long as you've got 5, which is quite easy to do in this deck, you can take a life to negate an attack and then trigger the counter attack, which is really your card is black, negate the attack, then choose it to one black battle card from your drop area or warp with energy cost of 1 out of your hand. So this means, it's like really nice in the fact you can negate 1 attack, grab back the Goku to deal and negate another attack, or negate an attack, grab back a Kai, so next turn you can play it to draw a card and have a blocker for 1 energy. So it's a really nice utility and just helpful defense if you end up having to be tapped out. And the good thing about having the Kai and Toki Toki is you can grab either of those back if you want combo power instead of a negate or a blocker. And that is it for the deck. That's what I took to. That's all 3 decks now that I took to Fight Night 7. And I'm not going to spoil what the result was or what happened for my game, once again, you can go down the description box and click on the link to the Twitch channel to watch the VOD, or when the video goes up on their YouTube, I'll put that link down below as well, so you can see it on there. But once again, thank you for watching. Feel free to comment, like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to keep updated with videos from me as when they drop. And you can do that by clicking the notification bell after you subscribed to make sure you get the notifications. And it helps me get to my goal of 1,000 subs, which I'm a quarter of the way there already. So once again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.